Today, inshallah, we're going to talk about recruitment businesses. As a Muslim, should you start a recruitment business? So, we're going to analyze this from a couple of different angles, from an Islamic standpoint, but also from a business standpoint. Is it a good idea as a business? Now, what is a recruitment business? How does it actually work? Well, the value that a recruitment business provides is that it brings candidates to businesses. It's like a matchmaker, really. Like what it does is that if you have a business and let's say you need salespeople, there's this recruiter who has a bunch of salespeople who he reaches out to, and then he brings them to the business. Now, why would a business be interested in something like that? The salespeople can basically apply by themselves to the business's company. Well, there are a few different scenarios. So number one is that business either may not have a strong HR department, may not have an HR department at all, or they may be a very large corporation that working with that HR department may take a while. Or this may be a business strategy because having a lot more people to do the work, it's a lot easier to find the candidates. So sometimes even larger companies that do have HR departments, they choose to partner with these consultants. There are other reasons. For example, you may have a network that HR company may not be able to access the people in your network easily. For example, let's say that you have a network of CEOs or a network of owners and so forth, and this large company is trying to hire very specialized CEOs or so with specialized skills and so forth. So there are various different reasons why businesses may be willing to pay money for your services. Now, how do you get paid, right? So the way how you usually get paid in a business like this is that either the candidate is paying for it. If you find the candidate a job, he could pay you the first month's salary, and the money that candidate is getting from the company on their first month goes to the recruitment company. Or the other way, it's the company that pays. The company pays a fee, and then you don't have to pay anything to the recruitment company, because you may be like, no, I'm not going to pay anything. It's because you may be such a good candidate that they may not want to lose you. So from that standpoint, that may be kind of like a bad idea for them. Now, there's another way how this could work is that the recruitment company hires you as an employee, and then the recruitment company sells you basically at a higher rate to the other people, meaning to those companies. So let's say that the company is paying you $18 an hour, but effectively that other company, it's paying about $25 or $30 per hour. So there are a lot of different ways how these companies make money. Some of those models are more profitable than others, and some are not. Now, let's talk about, is this business model haram? Like everything in life, the default ruling, if it is not an act of worship, it is that it is halal until it is proven to be haram. So now what we're going to do is we're going to analyze some of the areas where you could fall into the haram, right? So for example, the most obvious one is, let's assume that one of your clients is a bank and they are looking, they're asking you to hire loan officers. You're probably helping an institution that is based on riba and it's promoting riba and it's helping with riba. So this would be, if not haram, it would be one of those items that is disliked, right? So there are other examples. For example, the contracts, right? So if you are not being fully transparent with both sides, like you're not being transparent with the employee, or you're not being transparent with your client, that could fall into a scenario where that contract is haram. Or you're kind of set up in a way where you're really exploiting people, right? So all of those could be examples of what could make this business haram. But overall, it is a business that generally, if you know a bit of what is halal and what is haram, and you're trying to kind of like avoid the haram, you would easily be able to run this business in the halal way. Now, is this business a good business for Muslims to start? So let's look at it from a couple of different angles, right? So this kind of business doesn't necessarily require a lot of capital, okay? You can easily start this business by identifying a client and then going and headhunting and seeking people, right? Now, that requires quite some time, quite some effort sometimes. Sometimes you may get lucky and you may find the candidates immediately. But overall, you do need to spend a lot of time by calling these candidates, identifying these candidates, making sure that you have a good match, because your client is not going to give you another job if you give them a bad candidate, right? So from that standpoint, there is a bit of effort in here. Now, the benefit is that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars to get started. For example, if you wanted to open a restaurant, depending on where you are trying to open it, you'd easily need to spend a minimum of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. With the recruitment company, you don't spend anything usually in the beginning, unless you're setting up a company, which you could set a website and have a proper business model and all of that. So you could kind of look at it from that standpoint. But if you're trying to get to market immediately, you could literally just start an LLC and get this started. Now, what is the problem with this business model? Well, the problem with this kind of business model is that it doesn't necessarily have any specialized skill. When something doesn't have any specialized skill, it's good and bad. It's good for the people who don't have any specialized skill to compete with. Therefore, they could just learn this and go ahead and do it. Now, what this does is that it creates a great number of actors in the industry. It becomes hyper competitive. And when it becomes hyper competitive, a lot of spam happens. Now, when a lot of spam happens in an industry, it basically people start doubting everything about it. So now, is it possible for you to pass through all of that? Absolutely. Just like with any other business, you can pass through that. But this is some of the risks. So should the Muslims start a business like this? Well, this is what I say. If you are a Muslim who is already doing recruitment in a company and you understand this very well, you may have a competitive advantage on this, right? You may be able to say that I have 10 years of recruitment, 5 years of recruitment, 3 years of recruitment, 15 years of recruitment, right? So you understand the ins and outs. You're getting from your profession to really like an agency model, and you'd make a lot more money than you would generally make at your company. This may also be a good idea for somebody who literally knows nothing. It's one of those things that you could easily learn, right? However, if you have another profession, let's say you're a doctor or you're already a consultant of something else, or you have another particular niche that you're at, this jump into this, really, you're going to lose all of that other skill. So I'd not recommend you start something like this. I'd recommend you, let's say you're an accountant. I'd not recommend an accountant to open a recruitment company just because some YouTuber is telling you to, I have mastered the process. You can open an accounting company. That may be a lot more fruitful, and it may give you a competitive advantage rather than getting to an industry that kind of pretty much everybody can do with a little bit of a skill. So hope this analysis was fruitful for you, and inshallah, I wish you the best of luck. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.